Tim Keller, thanks for coming on.
Great to be here.
Well, let's start with the number one issue with voters in most polls, and that's crime in the city. We know that you want to hire more police officers, as does your opponent, but let's talk about how you would reduce crime other than that. We're number one in car thefts. We're very high in violent crime in the nation, and our violent crime is up 32% from past years. So what's your best and first idea for how to reduce crime?
Well, fundamentally, we've got to get back to community policing. And that's a word that's thrown out a lot. And I think it's important that folks understand that's not a buzzword. That is a series of policies and procedures and an entire way of managing a department differently. And I got to see this when I was the state senator in the International District. We had the lowest crime rates in decades there because we actually problem solve together. And that's what it's about. It's about restoring trust so that officers are talking with community members on a weekly basis in their neighborhood. And those officers are the same. They don't rotate out. They're there for 3, 4, or 5 years. And over time, they problem solve in their community on foot and on bike. That's what we've got to get back to. So it's sort of a modern version of that beat cop idea. But to do that, you do need a lot more officers, and so that's the connection. It's not just that more officers are needed conceptually, it's that if we're going to get back to community policing, we're going to need them, and that's how we can actually restore trust and I think eventually compartmentalize crime so that then we can reduce it. Right now, it's just citywide, and there's really no control or accountability on a neighborhood basis for policing.
Well, speaking of needing more police, you have a new ad out. The campaign has tilted, I think, a bit more negative since the runoff started. There's been negative, certainly against you, and your new ad kind of, to me, maybe tilts a bit in that way because it talks about how you want to hire more police officers. Your opponent says he does too, but in your ad, you highlight a past vote he made against hiring more police officers or funding more police.
Right.
And you don't mention, of course, that he is now saying he wants to hire more. Is that really fair?
Well, I think it is because what I'm running on is my record, and I'm happy to defend all the good, bad, and ugly in my own record. And I believe it's always fair game to take on your opponent's record as well. And the fact is, you know, my opponent has been a city councilor for 8 years and was president of council many times when they cut the police department. And so that's what I'm highlighting. I think that's very different than the negative character type ads that they're doing, you know, which really question a person's integrity and things like that. And that's why you won't see that coming from me. But in terms of debating our record, absolutely. And he's got a record of actually cutting the police department, and now he's running on trying to increase it. And so I do think there's a real disconnect there.
Well, speaking of attacking you, you're being attacked not by him specifically, but by an out-of-state developer calling you soft on crime and so forth. And this guy has nothing to do with crime. He is a developer that is supporting Santolina, which is a 21 square mile proposed development southwest of I-40. And it's going to take a lot of water, and it's going to take a lot of other resources from the city, taxpayer subsidies being one. Now, the word is that he is funding these ads against you, calling you soft on crime for a past vote in the legislature because he wants that Santolina. You would sit on the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Authority, and you would have to pass on the use of the water. Folks that don't want Santolina say, look, Albuquerque needs a lot of infill. It needs resources that inside the city we already have, and we cannot do all of it. Where do you come down on Santolina? Your opponent is in favor of it.
Well, and it is true, I have a track record voting against the previous versions of Santolina in the legislature. And I think for me, you know, this is really unfortunate because we've got an Arizona developer who is, you know, playing heavily in the mayor's race. really because when we met, I straight up said that's probably not in the best interest of Albuquerque as a city to subsidize your water needs or your development. And just based on that, we see these ads about crime and sex offenders that, I mean, they don't even have anything to do with our discussion.
Or Santolina.
Right, and that's why I think it's so disingenuous, and it really is designed to divide our city. And I do think this is where any developer, sure, we'll disagree here and there, but let's disagree on development. Let's not try and divide our city with fear. And I think that's what they're trying to do. And so I very much think it's wrong. And even just as a dad with a 4-year-old daughter, it's disgusting what they're putting out there. And for me too, look, developers can do whatever they want on their land, more or less. It's a different question on whether or not Albuquerque taxpayers should subsidize them. That's a whole different question, and that's really where it breaks down. I'm concerned about the water. I'm not sure we should be subsidizing water that actually is even out of city limits. And so I've got a number of concerns, and clearly that's why these ads are coming my way.
Let's move on to a very hot topic nationally and in this state, and that's immigration. If Albuquerque should become a sanctuary city, we could have a lot of conflict in the city for one thing and lose some federal funding for another. So the Justice Department wants municipal police to take on some of the work of the federal government and enforce federal laws. First of all, how do you define a sanctuary city? And how do you feel about having Albuquerque police enforce federal law when we have so much crime here in the city?
Well, I believe we need to protect all families in Albuquerque, regardless of their status. I think that's part of the mayor's job, and that's part of public safety's job. So for me, a couple of things on this. Number one is that definition is currently being defined in court. And we see lots of cities, Seattle, Chicago, all suing over what this means. And so I think the good news is we're going to find out and we'll be able to understand. But I believe in the connection between protecting our immigrant families and helping public safety. And the amazing thing is they actually go together. So when I was the senator in the International District, there's a huge population of undocumented folks there and refugees. And one of the reasons why we got crime down so low is because we worked with them. They were critical to actually highlighting what the real gang activity was and who was involved in that, and the associated drug activity. We need folks to come together to help us reduce crime, and that means also undocumented folks. And that means that they have to trust our police department, and they will never trust our police department if they're afraid of getting deported. So that's why I don't think APD should be doing ICE's job. They've got a job to do, we've got a job to do. I want every resource we've got focused on making our city safer, and that means not doing ICE's job for them.
Well, the U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has threatened to withdraw funding from other law enforcement areas, from cities that do not agree to enforce ICE regulations with local police. So far it hasn't happened. It has been threatened once, but they didn't actually do it. If they should withdraw other federal funding because of the city's policy of not enforcing ICE rules, would you join a lawsuit with other mayors, if you were mayor, to prevent them from pulling that funding?
I would. I believe we've got to stand up for who we are as a city, which is a diverse community with folks from all walks of life and all levels of documentation. And that is core to our historical narrative. And so I think we should be out there standing up for that in court if we need to. And, you know, I also think right now what is being threatened literally is like $100,000 or so for lapel cameras. So I think people need to also understand, if we're talking about, you know, all federal funding, that is an issue that a mayor's got to take seriously, and we've got to be realistic about. That has never been the case. That is the rhetoric, but the actual content are these small grants for equipment. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to be bullied around by DC for the price of $100,000 for small equipment. That is not worth redefining our city. So I want to stand up for who we are. And unless there is something that really has to do with meaningful policies and funding, I think it's a relatively straightforward and easy choice.